This video is going to be designed to set up the calculations for in time you'll see the moving plot. It doesn't have to be used for that one. I'm going to be showing you how to use the equation editor. Some people might find that helpful as they're doing some kinds of things. So we're over here in Microsoft Word, and we're going to start doing sample calculations for our lab report. So our first calculation that we need to make is we need to make calculations for every column that we measured, or excuse me, that we calculated, not the two columns that we measured. We measured change in time and change in distance. So we don't have to show sample calculations for that, but we do for everything else. So for example, one of the sample calculations that we need to make is change in time. And since this one's pretty straightforward, I can simply type in here, I'm going to do Option J, I'll start here. So I'm going to do time and then do a subscript. There's lots of different ways that you can do that depending on how you have your computer set up. But one way to do that is right up here where you have the A with a subscript 2. And I'm going to say time number 2, for example, and then uncheck that subscript and say equals, and then space, time, and then subscript number 1, and then undo the subscript, and then plus, and then do Option J for my delta, and then time subscript 2. So that gives me the formula. Now you notice Microsoft tried to be smarter than me and put a capital T there, so I come back over here and make the lowercase t so it matches the formulas that we're trying to do. Now I'm going to tab over one space and go through my example. So time 2 ended up being 0.20 seconds. Oops, I'm still in the subscript mode, so I'm going to back up over here, put that 2 back in there, and undo the subscript mode. Tab over. There we go. So 0.20 seconds equals 0.10 seconds plus 0.10 seconds. Now if you check your data and your setup, you'll notice that this is how the calculation was done with the actual numbers, and this is the formula for that. So I have my first one. I'm just going to skip down a couple because you certainly can put in all the different ones, you know, for change in distance and so on. But I'm going to come next and do the instantaneous velocity one so we can see how it's done when you're doing fractions. So to do that, I need to use a program or a companion program to Microsoft Office that's called Equation Editor. I have it down here in my toolbar, but if you don't, you can just come over here and open the applications folder. There's numbers of ways you can do that. Here's my applications folder. Scroll down to Microsoft Office 2011 and then come over here to Office, and then scroll down to Equation Editor right here, and then double click that and it'll open the Equation Editor program, and then I can close this window. So here's my Equation Editor. Cool thing about this is I can do lots of different kinds of formulas in here and do them nice without having to do lots of work. So for example, we're going to have the situation here where let's say V subscript 3. So I've got a V there, now I need a subscript. Here's my subscript icon, so I'm going to do this. I want a subscript 3, put a 3 in there, and now I can come back to the other part and say equals, and now I want to do a fraction, so I'm going to click right here so I get a fraction. I want a regular fraction, one on top of the other over here. So on this spot, since I'm doing instantaneous velocity, I want delta, so I do my Option J to get my delta, S, and then do a subscript on here, 3. That gives me the top part of my fraction. Down here at the bottom, I want to do delta again, so Option J gives me the delta, and then T and subscript 3. And now I have this set up basically the way I want. A little bit messy because I've got some math mixed up with text in here. So I'm going to come over here to Style and select Text so that everything shows up as text. And now I can copy this and come over here and paste this. And now I have that whole setup in here just the way, well, almost the way I wanted to. I noticed that the subscript 3 didn't show up over here. I got to get that 3 in there first. There we go. And copy and come back over here and highlight that. Delete what was there and repaste in my new one. And now I have that formula nicely typed instead of having to hand write things out. And I can certainly go in and start putting my numbers in as my example now. So when I do sample calculations, I want the formula that the spreadsheet's using in general terms from the column headings and samples numbers that match this situation over here. Hope this gives you some hints and some help. Thanks.